Good Monday morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Chris 6 Sunrise.
It's Monday, August 18th. Here's a look at what stories we're covering in your neighborhood.
Neighbors on DeBerry Street are in a stinky situation. I'm Victoria Valderrama. I'll show you the sewage problems they say is causing headaches.
Uniforms, sporting goods, and more, all secondhand. I'm Tony Jaramillo on NAS Corpus Christi, learning why this is not a regular thrift store.
Big gains for Corpus Christi ISD. I'm Ana Conejo near downtown, showing you how district leaders say attention to cell phones. And teamwork delivered a major school ratings win.
Good morning, folks. Happy Monday and welcome to Chris 6 Sunrise. You're waking up with the Hoffmans. I'm Michelle Hoffman.
And I'm Brian Hoffman. Oh, it's going to be a great week ahead. I can already feel it. It's Monday. I know it's a little early. Up and Adam, though, you're going to dominate this week. You know who else will as well? Miss Julia Quiddy, our little ray of sunshine. And take a look at the roads and the weather this morning. Good morning, Julia.
Hey there. Good morning, you guys. So, yeah, we're going to bit of a warm start for us here in the coastal bend. Of course, it's still going to be muggy for us here in the area. Now, things are going to be dry, but we have some rain chances hopefully coming in later on in the work week, so it's going to hopefully offer us some help in terms of our lake levels and our drought conditions here in the coastal bend. But things are dry right now, so it's going to make for a nice and easy commute for you on this Monday morning. Let's go ahead and get into those roadways right now, though. Looking at Ocean Drive down to SPID and on Saratoga, all three of those roadways moving pretty clear right now for your drive on this Monday morning. Heading on over towards Flower Bluff, a slightly different story. Some portions of Waldron Road having a bit of a mixture of that medium to slow speed, so just make sure you're ready to encounter that if you're heading in that direction. Also getting a little bit closer towards the gate at NAS Corpus Christi, same thing there. A little bit of congestion as you get a little bit closer towards that area, so just be prepared for some slowdowns heading in that direction as well. But heading on over towards Flower Bluff, you guys are looking at pretty clear driving conditions on your roadways right now. Moving on over now towards the JFK Causeway rather, going to and from the island, you're also looking at pretty easy driving conditions for the start of your morning. More details on your forecast coming up in the next few minutes.
Julia, thank you for that. So we're going to start with some international news for you folks happening today with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky meeting up with President Trump over at the White House. The meeting is to discuss the results of Trump's meeting Friday with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the war in Ukraine. Putin is seeking to gain control of the Donbas region, which is the far eastern portion of Ukraine, and it does include cities with ports to the Black Sea. And he also wants to hold on to Crimea. So Zelensky is seeking security guarantees from Western powers such as NATO. Other European leaders such as the German Chancellor, European Commission President, NATO Secretary General, British Prime Minister and Finnish President, they're all expected to attend as well. So we will hear from Scripps News Group's political director Joe St. George in about 10 minutes with more details on what to expect from today's meeting.
On to your neighborhood news now. Most schools in the coastal bend started up last week, but we still have a couple more that will start back today. Refugio ISD and Agua Dulce ISD both start their school year today. So folks, remember to be safe, and if you're dropping your kids off, leave early for heavy traffic for the first few days of the school year.
Happening today in your neighborhood, the City of Corpus Christi will be hosting another community input session. It's going to happen tonight for the proposed 2026 city budget. Today's meeting will be for District 4, which is the island, and will be held over at the Seashore Learning Academy Gymnasium on SPID that goes on from 6 to 7 p.m. During these meetings, the city manager and district council member will be in attendance answering questions of the budget.
I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter on NAS Corpus Christi. When it comes to stretching a dollar, for many of us, that's important. And that's also the case for some Marines, sailors, and their families. I spent the day shopping at a thrift store with one Marine who tells me why this store is different.
Brand new, I was looking at the Next the other day. It is about $80, I think, per pants, and then you have to get tailored. You have to make sure it fits right. Those are brand new, and those are just like one set of pants.
For Marines like student pilot Jose Castro, every dollar counts. The Navy Marine Corps Relief Society thrift shop at NAS Corpus Christi offers uniforms and much more at a fraction of the cost.
And uniforms do get expensive like over time, so I enjoy coming to like thrift shops and seeing what they have, so it's a good opportunity.
But this isn't just about saving money. This thrift store is fully staffed by volunteers.
31.
And all proceeds go directly to helping military personnel and families in times of need.
We do interest-free loans for the military. We're kind of like a solution to the payday loans where people were getting charged 20, 30% interest rates.
Last year, all the thrift shops on bases all across the country generated $2 million in revenue, which goes right back into funding financial assistance programs with the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. Jose Castro knows the impact firsthand.
Actually, my father passed away in February. I live in Guam, Saipan.
That's where the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society stepped in.
So the ticket was $2,800, and so I had some like buffer room, and I actually went through the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society to get a loan,
allowing him to help pay for the funeral itself and help his family instead. Chair of Volunteers Paula Blevin tells me that's exactly why the thrift shop exists, and it's the most rewarding part.
Like I said, just seeing the relief like wash over their bodies when they hear that.
The Navy Marine Corps Relief Society tells me they're always looking for donations from those who have base access. On NAS Corpus Christi, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Hey there, good morning, happy Monday. Taking a live look outside now from our sky cam over top SPID. Feels still dark skies right now to greet us this morning if you're already heading out the door, but things will start to increase in terms of that heat, going back up towards what we experienced yesterday on our Sunday, expecting high temperatures still reaching towards those upper 90s, maybe flirt a little bit with those lower 100s throughout other neighborhoods and communities, but we got some changes expected coming in the forecast for the second half of our work week, hopefully by way of actually beneficial and promising rainfall. But right now, let's go ahead and take a look what else you can expect in the forecast this week. Starting off right now, got that heat and sunshine coming in to kick us off on this Monday. We'll continue to see those heat index values also reaching nearby 110 degrees today and potentially tomorrow as well. But as the week goes on, we are expecting a bit of a wetter weather pattern coming in, and especially looking more beneficial and more promising, I should say, by the time we reach towards your Friday and your Saturday. So hopefully some promising rainfall is going to be coming to the forecast this week. But right now, waking up, and as we start our work week here on this Monday, things will be just hot and dry and sunny for us here in the coastal bend. Waking up to a temperature of 75 degrees here in Corpus Christi and over in Beeville, 79 over in Rockport, 74 degrees your temperature right now over in Alice. Across the coastal bend, looking at lighter wind speeds right now, barely making it towards around 5 miles an hour here over in Port Aransas, and we're all looking at pretty nice and easy visibility right now heading out the door to get your morning started for your morning commute as well. So that's some good news for us. Taking a look at our hour-by-hour forecast, got a little bit cloud cover to greet us as we start our morning. That will completely clear out, looking at mostly sunny skies by the time we reach our afternoon around lunchtime. And by the same time frame, we'll see our temperatures increase, already knocking on the door of those mid-90s by the time we're heading towards 12 o'clock this afternoon, with our wind speeds kind of slowly, gradually increasing as well, but still going under 10 miles an hour. Looking at our heat risk, got a bit of a mixture of minor to moderate or even major risk for more inland portions of the coastal bend. That major risk will kind of expand a little bit ahead for us tomorrow, still impacting areas nearby Freer, Flowerton, and Cotulla, but then ahead for us on Wednesday, got some changes on the way, got some improvement ever so slightly coming in, and that could be tied towards our rain chances coming to the forecast again as early as tomorrow, but starting to really look more promising daily and as we reach towards the end of our work week. But for us today, just got that sunshine and heat and humidity on deck, with temperatures reaching near 99 degrees here in Corpus Christi, and again, feel like temperatures still nearby 110 degrees, so you still want to make sure you're practicing the heat safety, but hopefully got some promising rain chances on the way towards the end of this week.
Coming up next on Chris 6 Sunrise, we'll speak with Scripps News Group's political director, Joe St. George, on what could come from today's meeting with President Trump at the White House and how close the two sides, being Ukraine and Russia, are to a peace deal. Welcome back, folks. Ukrainian President Zelensky is set to head to the White House today with many European leaders to discuss the results of President Trump's meeting with President Putin last Friday.
To talk about this, our Deputy Political Director, Joe St. George, joins us live this morning. Good morning, Joe. So loaded questions. What's the biggest thing still standing in the way of a peace deal? And how could the presence of more European leaders impact today's meeting?
Yeah, I think that's at the top what is making today so remarkable. Yes, this would be still the lead story nationally if it was just a Zelensky-Trump meeting, but it's just relatively unprecedented to have such a such a host, a plethora of world leaders gather at the White House so quickly for something that's not attached to it like a major summit, like a G7 or something along those lines. You're talking about the Prime Minister of Great Britain, President of France, Chancellor of Germany, leaders of the EU and NATO, essentially accompanying Zelensky here to the White House today, a show of unity that we just don't typically see. Yes, things are a bit different today than they were in February when Trump and Zelensky first met. But remember, that meeting is still on the minds of everyone here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue ahead of today's historic gatherings. In February, it set back relations between the U.S. and Ukraine. That dust up in the Oval Office between Zelensky and Trump and Vice President Vance set back relations for several months. Now, the U.S. and Ukraine, much better place. Trump and Zelensky, at least publicly, are very amicable today. But I think the fact that there's so much backup essentially in the building with Zelensky that I don't foresee anything like that happening today. The details, I think, today are what matters. I mean, we've been equating it using the analogy of a multi-act play. If Act 1 was on Friday, Trump, Putin, and a summit in Alaska, after a weekend intermission, today is Act 2. What does Zelensky say about the details that were discussed privately behind the scenes between Trump and Putin? The devil is going to be in the details here. This was a war. It's always been a war about land. Previously, Zelensky has said that he'd be unwilling to give up any Ukrainian territory to Russia, even territories that Russia currently has and occupies. Does that change at all? That's a major component here. President Trump, optimistic going into today's meeting, being optimistic on social media, saying that great progress has been made, but also putting the ball in Ukraine's court, saying on social media that essentially that President Zelensky could end this war if he wishes to. So this is going to be a gigantic news event this afternoon. And we often say that, right? It's become a bit cliche. But again, it's just so rare that you have so many global leaders assembling here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with so much on the line. What does Act 3 of this play bring? Could it be peace? Could it be a meeting between Zelensky and Putin and Trump? Or does it bring about much of the status quo, which has been bloodshed in Europe now for several years? Guys?
Joe, thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate your insights, sir. Looking forward to talking again soon.
Hey there, good morning. Happy Monday. So for us here in the Coastal Bend, things will be looking pretty similar to what we saw in terms of our conditions yesterday on our Sunday. Still expecting high temperatures reaching into those upper 90s. Lots of sunshine, heat and humidity, all the same type of conditions that we're used to here during the summer months here in the Coastal Bend. But we could have some changes coming in with some promising rainfall, hopefully coming back into the forecast, certainly towards the end of our work week. But before we go ahead and get into what we expect in the forecast here at home, let's actually go over what's happening right now with Hurricane Erin. Still packing a punch as a Category 4 hurricane right now, making its way nearby Turks and Caicos. So got tropical storm and as well as warnings and watches for those areas nearby Turks and Caicos and nearby the Bahamas. It's still forecasted to can eventually make its way further up north, eventually decreasing, becoming a Category 3, then a 2, and of course eventually a 1 as it wraps around nearby a couple hundred miles away from Bermuda. Impacts for, of course, southeastern portions of the U.S. will be very dangerous and life-threatening rip currents and worsening beach conditions. But other than that, that system just going to continue to pack its punch and just make its way further up north, veering off further away from the southeastern coast. But we have another update what's going on also, again, still in the tropics here. We just have another tropical wave that's making its way off the western coast of West Africa, kind of forecasted to make a similar track that Hurricane Erin did when it was still, of course, a disturbance and then, of course, becoming a tropical storm. Right now, looking at a moderate chance of becoming tropical something over the next 7 days. So we'll continue to monitor the system and see what we can expect from its buildup as it continues to strengthen and get its act together and become more organized. For us here at home, though, again, still looking at mostly sunny skies. Temperatures still reaching into those upper 90s later on this afternoon, expecting a high temperature of 99 degrees here in Corpus Christi. So that heat and humidity is still going to be here for us here in the Coastal Bend. Feel like temperatures reaching nearby 110 degrees across the majority of our neighborhoods. So you still want to make sure you're practicing that heat safety, because that is still considered to be dangerous. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water, spend some time in that air conditioning. Heat risk and heat danger going anywhere between that moderate to major risk ahead for most of our neighborhoods today and ahead for us tomorrow, with some improvements on the way for us beginning on Wednesday by way with that rainfall chances looking a bit more promising daily for us, but really looking beneficial towards the end of our work week.
Thank you so much, Julia. Coming up next on Sunrise, I'm taking a look at the cheapest gas prices around town to make your wallet and your car go a little further. Hey, welcome back, folks. It is a Monday, which means it might be time to fill up that tank to get ready for the week. But don't you fret, I have the cheapest prices around the country and especially right here in the Coastal Bend. Let's start off with the former, though. Taking a look at the national average according to Gas Buddy, $3.09. That is down by 7 cents since Friday, but that brings us to exactly where we were last Monday. As for Texas, we're sitting at $2.73 as the average. That's down by 5 cents, but we're still recovering from that 12-cent jump that we saw last week. So here in Corpus Christi, the cheapest price I was able to find is $2.45. That's over at the Sonoco on Port Street. And for our Portland friends, your cheapest price is going to be $2.45, tied at two different locations, Murphy USA next to Walmart, as well as the H-E-B. As for Island friends, well, the cheapest is $2.57 at most of the stations I was able to find, including some up in Port A and the two gas stations that are right there off of Whitecap. As always, if you can find cheaper prices than any I have mentioned, might be worthwhile stopping and filling up while you can.
All right, taking a live look outside now from our First Community Bank Sky Cam atop the USS Lexington. You can see some couple cars going on by right now on both the New and Old Harbor bridges there. Of course, more active traffic flow happening on the New Harbor Bridge as you can head both north and southbound going from the Portland area. Now, conditions across the Coastal Bend are going to be a bit muggy for you, so you probably have those windows rolled up and those air conditioned set above a maybe moderate rate right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of our traffic flow maps so you can expect for your roadways for your morning commute. Heading on the JFK Causeway going to and from the island, looking at pretty easy driving conditions at the moment. Heading on over now towards Flower Bluff, a little bit of some medium speeds happening throughout portions of Waldron Road, so you may want to look out for that. And you got more of the state as you get a little bit closer towards the gate at NES Corpus Christi as well. All clear heading on Flower Bluff Drive, and also got clear driving conditions heading on Ocean Drive down to SPID and on Saratoga for the start of your Monday morning. That's it for your Trap Port with details of your forecast coming up in just a bit.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Alrighty, good morning and welcome back. Happy Monday. Taking a live look outside here from our Snoopy Spear Sky Cam, sponsored by CCAC. Got some small, subtle hints of that sunrise just beginning beyond the horizon of the JFK Causeway there, with a couple mixes some passing clouds out there as well. Now, things are going to start off for us warm and muggy, and then we'll have that sunshine to add to that, making for warm, sunny, and muggy conditions by this afternoon. Temperatures are going back up towards those upper 90s as they did yesterday on our Sunday, but we got some better rain chances on the way as we head towards the next few days in our work week, and certainly towards the second half of our work week, with our rain chances looking more promising by that time frame. Let's go ahead and get into what else you can expect in your forecast this week in its totality. Again, starting off this work week, looking at mostly sunny skies, a lot of heat and humidity coming in, temperatures still reaching towards those upper 90s near those record highs, and we'll also see in association with that our heat index value still reaching nearby 110 degrees for us today and potentially ahead for us tomorrow and our Tuesday as well. But we do expect a bit of a wetter weather pattern beginning tomorrow, and that's going to lead towards the second half of our work week where our rain chances look truly more promising ahead for us later on in the week. But right now, waking up, as we saw in our sky cam, got a couple passing clouds, but that sunrise is starting to just begin for us. More sunny skies coming in by midday, and by the time we reach toward this afternoon, looking at full-blown sunny conditions at that point. Temperatures also reaching into those lower 90s, approaching those mid to upper 90s, eventually reaching our afternoon high of 99 degrees here in Corpus Christi. But again, with our feel-like temperatures, they're going to be reaching nearby 110 degrees, so we can expect things to be feeling a bit uncomfortable later on this afternoon. To make you really want to make sure you're practicing that heat safety, that means drinking plenty of water and limiting your time outdoors a bit, and making sure you spend some breaks in that air conditioning to help your body cool off over the course of the afternoon, because across the majority of our neighborhoods, we're going to be at least near 110 or maybe reaching on the dot of 110 degrees throughout some of our neighborhoods. So of course, along with our heat risks, those will kind of go along with that, reaching with that major zone for more inland portions of Coastal Bend, kind of worsening ahead for us tomorrow. More areas under that major risk nearby Flowerton, Cotulla, and Freer, but then got some improvements on the way as we approach your Wednesday. That is possibly tied towards towards our rain chances that do look to be a bit better beginning on Wednesday, then really improving as we head towards your Friday and towards this upcoming weekend. So looking at a bit of a wetter weather pattern coming in for the next 6 to 10 days, hopefully promising us some better rainfall opportunities compared to what we saw last week with that disappointment with those tropical downpours not truly panning out besides a couple stray showers popping in here and there. But again, things looking to be really promising on the second half of our work week leading in towards those weekends where we can see some isolated showers, maybe some scattered showers coming in, some thunderstorm activity expected with those couple of disturbances happening in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Now in terms of rainfall estimates right now, these are subject to change. We can see some changes here, but right now we are looking at maybe anywhere between half an inch, maybe up to an inch of rainfall throughout some of our northern neighborhoods as it relates towards our rain chances here from our rain event. Now, a quick update on Hurricane Aaron. Is still packing a punch as a Category 4 hurricane, expected to wrap around, make its way pushing further up north to the northeast with some impact expected for the southeast. But for us here, hot with more rain chances to come.
Welcome back, folks. So we have been taking a look at the history of one of Texas' biggest sites, that is the Alamo in San Antonio. Last time we looked at where the Alamo Plaza stands today.
But the historic site's transformation into a world-class museum and cultural center is far from over. Our Andy Lascano takes a look at the future in today's Coastal Bend history.
This is Coastal Bend history.
Since 1905, historians have been collecting artifacts and preserving Texas's biggest historical site in San Antonio. In 120 years, they've amassed one of the largest site-specific historical and pop culture collections in the world through donations and collections. And now, Alamo Plaza is set for a major upgrade and leap into the future. Our Coastal Bend history team was invited to the Alamo for a historic moment. Crews officially installed the final structural beam in the new Texas Cavaliers Education Center at the Alamo Plaza. The new facility, set to open in March of 2026, will provide a high-tech learning environment which will make the Alamo experience accessible to everyone on Earth.
It'll be a game changer for the site. We'll have 4 classrooms, a distance learning center, even an orientation theater for kids to fully understand the history of the Alamo, as well as, that, again, it wasn't just the church, it was a mission built in 1724. This building here, actually, the Long Barrack, was the first hospital in Texas where they were doing the first inoculations in Texas. So much history that they'll learn about. One aspect I love, the Distance Learning Center, we'll be able to connect with classrooms in Corpus or as far as internationally to really connect with history teachers and classrooms to talk about the history of the Texas Revolution and the Alamo, but from utilizing current technologies, which I think it'll be a game changer to talk about our heritage and history.
But the new Learning Center is just part of the $550 million expansion underway at the Alamo. It began about 3 years ago through a lease amendment with the city of San Antonio. The lease expanded the entire Alamo grounds to about 12 acres of land in the downtown area.
And one thing we're looking at is for individuals coming to the downtown area, and luckily we do have many hotels in the area, but the Alamo experience at the Future Visitor Center Museum and the Education Center, the Ralston Family Collection Center, Plaza de Valero, all of this, it would be very difficult to just do in a quick day. I mean, previously people would go through the church in the past. If they didn't have a guided tour, they'd spend 30 minutes.
The Visitor Center Museum will be a massive endeavor, a 5-story building that takes up an entire city block.
So it'll be a 5-story entire block where we'll have 8 galleries, 8 galleries that'll be chronological in nature, a 4D theater, a rooftop event space that will have a wraparound terrace looking all the way from the Emily Morgan to the Tower of America, all while overlooking the Shrine of Texas Liberty.
The museum will be a digital interactive experience where visitors will be able to choose the path of history they want to follow. Hun further tells us it'll be a different experience each time somebody goes through it. It's expected to open in the fall of 2027. The Alamo has gone from small museum to world-class destination for more than 1.5 million people every year, and it continues to grow. If you'd like to learn more about the history of the Alamo or the future, you can scan this QR code or just head to our website, KrisTV.com, and click the Coastal Bend History tab. Until next time, I'm Andy Lascano.
Hey there, good morning, happy Monday. So conditions will be starting off warm and muggy for us here in the Coastal Bend with sunshine to come. That sunshine is going to lead towards even warmer temperatures ahead for us by the time we reach this afternoon. Looking at mostly sunny skies, temperatures already reaching towards those mid-90s by 2 o'clock this afternoon. And anywhere between that 2 o'clock and maybe approaching that 6 o'clock hour, we'll see our afternoon high temperature nearby 99 degrees here in Corpus Christi. Feel like temperatures also reaching nearby 110 degrees throughout the majority of our neighborhoods here in the region as well. So you still want to make sure you're practicing that heat safety and just keeping yourself safe, because this heat is still considered to be dangerous. So you don't want to just maybe take a blind eye to it just because we don't have any heat alerts in effect for us today. Now, looking at our 7-day forecast, got a couple changes coming in beginning tomorrow and looking more promising as we lead towards this upcoming weekend. You can see it behind me. We've got all these rain showers expected to come into the forecast because of a bit of a disturbance that'll be coming in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That's going to support some moisture increasing and giving us that positive sense of having some rain showers, beneficial rain showers coming to the forecast, especially for the second half of our work week. But for now, starting us off on our work week on this Monday, it's the last heat and sunshine and temperatures in those upper 90s.
From Chris 6, this is 20 minutes of non-stop news.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our 20 minutes of non-stop news with the Hoffmans. I'm Brian Hoffman.
And I'm Michelle Hoffman. And we'll check in with meteorologist Julia Quady in just a bit. But first, the TEA ratings have now been released.
That is right. So let's take a quick look at how some Coastal Bend school systems ranked this year. Flower Bluff, Gregory Portland, Ingleside, and London ISDs all received a B.
And we have Odom, Edroy, Orange Grove, and Port Aransas ISDs. They were all given Bs. Mathis got a C, and Fremont ISD a D. Alice ISD got a B, Aransas Pass ISD a D, and Beeville ISD received a C. Callan ISD, they got a B, and Driscoll ISD got a B.
However, one school in the Coastal Bend, well, they did not fare well in this year's TEA ratings. That's Kingsville, and they received an F.
Neighborhood News reporter Stephanie Molina reached out to Kingsville ISD to learn more.
The Texas Education Agency score for Kingsville 2024 to 2025 school year is 59 out of 100. I asked the Kingsville school leaders Friday to talk about TEA's rating for the district. A spokesperson for the district said no one was available, but did provide a statement which read in part, "This rating highlights the challenges we face and the urgent work ahead. Our students deserve better, and we are committed to delivering better for them." 1 year prior, TEA gave KISD a D rating. For 3 years in a row, TEA has given Kingsville low ratings. I asked parents on social media what they thought about the results. One parent says, "It's not the teachers entirely, it's the district's administration and partly on the parents. I'll say it might be an uncomfortable truth, but when kids aren't supported and held accountable by their parents or raised by a relative, you get kids that act up and aren't into education. Nobody's perfect, but the district admin could be run way better." Another parent says, "Simple, the school is so concerned about its STAR test they do very little elsewhere. It's all we hear teachers talk about. It's test prep and retest until it's right. Look what it's doing, it's failing us. People want to ignore these test scores like it doesn't matter, but the kids now will be the adults running our town later." Others noted they hope with the new superintendent coming into KISD, things will change. Dr. Luz Martinez is the district's interim superintendent. The board is expected Monday to appoint her as the district superintendent. She tells Chris 6, "As superintendent, my priority is to build the instructional leadership of our principals, strengthen teaching through targeted support and coaching, and foster a positive, thriving school culture." The TEA measures how much students are learning to be ready to go to the next grade and if the district prepared them for life after high school. In Kingsville, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Stephanie Molina, Chris 6 News.
Big gains for Corpus Christi ISD. I'm Ana Conejo near downtown, showing you how district leaders say attention to cell phones and teamwork delivered a major school ratings win.
Corpus Christi ISD celebrating a B rating from the Texas Education Agency, up from a C last year. District leaders credit curriculum adjustments, targeted teacher training, and removing cell phones from classrooms. With 32 campuses improving by a full letter grade and no schools receiving an F, Parents say they're hopeful the district continues pushing for an A.
Neighbors on DeBerry Street are in a stinky situation. I'm Victoria Valderrama. I'll show you the sewage problems they say is causing headaches. Sewage water spewed out from here and here around 4 in the morning. The elderly woman who lives in this house was unavailable to comment. Tom Collins with Alliance Carpet Service was there cleaning up. He says this is the worst case of black water damage he's dealt with. As city crews worked on the sewage backup, they found the culprit, a pool noodle. In Aransas Pass, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Victoria Valderrama for Chris 6 News.
I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter on NAS Corpus Christi. When it comes to stretching a dollar, for many of us, that's important. And that's also the case for some Marines, sailors, and their families. I spent the day shopping at a thrift store with one Marine who tells me why this store is different. For Marines like student pilot Jose Castro, every dollar counts. The Navy Marine Corps Relief Society thrift shop at NAS Corpus Christi offers uniforms and much more at a fraction of the cost. But this isn't just about saving money. This thrift store is fully staffed by volunteers. And all proceeds go directly to helping military personnel and families in times of need. Last year, all of the thrift shops on bases all across the country generated $2 million in revenue, which goes right back into funding financial assistance programs with the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. Jose Castro knows the impact firsthand.
Actually, my father passed away in February. I live in Guam, Saipan.
That's where the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society stepped in.
So the ticket was $2,800, and so I had some buffer room, and I actually went through the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society to get a loan,
allowing him to help pay for the funeral itself and help his family instead. The Navy Marine Corps Relief Society tells me they're always looking for donations from those who have base access. On NAS Corpus Christi, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Hey there, good morning, happy Monday. So for us today, to kick us off on our work week, looking at pretty similar conditions that we saw in our forecast yesterday. And by that way, I mean lots of sunshine, lots of heat, and temperatures going back up there towards those upper 90s. But right now, waking up this morning, things are feeling like they're most comfortable. Taking a look too at our view from our Snoopy Spear Sky Cam, sponsored by CCAC. You got that gorgeous glimpse of that sunrise beyond the horizon of the JFK Causeway with a mix of some passing clouds. But again, warm and muggy start for us this morning. Most of us in the coastal bend mostly sitting towards those upper 70s to lower 80s across the neighborhoods here in our region. But let's actually quickly start on our forecast here, taking a look what's happening with the tropics. We've been talking about Hurricane Erin since last week, making its track, eventually becoming a monster hurricane, a Category 5 over this past weekend. Has started to diminish in its strength a bit, now sitting at a Category 4 with tropical storm impacts expected nearby Turks and Caicos and nearby some islands of the Bahamas. It's expected to continue to make its forecast track, slowly decreasing its intensity, eventually becoming a Category 3 hurricane and Category 2 as it wraps around a couple hundred miles away from Bermuda, going its track again further up north. But we're also tracking yet another blip that the National Hurricane Center is still monitoring, making its track across West Africa, forecasted to make a very similar path as Hurricane Erin and eventually potentially at least becoming a tropical depression. Has a 50% chance of formation over the next 7 days. No impacts are expected for us here at home in the coastal bend as of now, but we'll continue to monitor this system and to see how it will intensify as it potentially gets its act together and becomes more organized. But for us here at home, looking at lots of sunshine coming in, temperatures increasing towards those mid-90s by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, eventually reaching our afternoon high temperature of 99 degrees here in Corpus Christi. We'll also continue to see those feel-like temperatures also reaching nearby 110 degrees. So that lets you know you still want to make sure you're practicing that heat safety to keep yourself safe, because across the majority of our neighborhoods around the 2-3 o'clock hour, sitting at least nearby or on the dot of 110 degrees here in terms of our feel-like temperatures, with our heat index values reaching around that range. Also, heat risk will continue to be a bit of an issue, especially for inland neighborhoods, especially head for tomorrow. That major risk kind of extending throughout more neighborhoods nearby Cotulla, Flowerton, and Freer. But then head for us on our Wednesday, got some improvement on the way, coming in by way some shower activities. So we're looking at a bit of a wetter weather pattern over the next 6 to 10 days. So hopefully rainfall looking a bit more promising towards the end of our work week.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is meeting up with President Trump over the White House today. The meeting is to discuss the results of Trump's meeting Friday with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the war in Ukraine. Now, Putin is seeking to gain control of the Donbas region, which is the far eastern portion of Ukraine and includes cities with ports to the Black Sea. They also want to hold on to Crimea, while Zelensky is seeking security guarantees from Western powers such as NATO.
The California state legislature is set to reconvene today and immediately take up the issue of redistricting. Democrats hold a supermajority, and Governor Gavin Newsom has threatened to redraw the congressional maps in such a way that more Democrats could win seats in the state. Newsom laid out the plan after Texas unveiled its own maps to redraw congressional seats to help Republicans in the state.
So most schools in the Coastal Bend got back underway last week, but we still do have a couple more that will start up today. Refugio ISD and Agua Dulce ISD both start their school year today. Remember to be safe if you're dropping off the kiddos. Leave early for heavy traffic for the first few days of the school year.
The city of Corpus Christi will be hosting another community input session tonight for the proposed 2026 city budget. Today's meeting will be for District 4, which is the island, and it will be held at the Seashore Learning Academy Gymnasium on SPID from 6 to 7 p.m. During these meetings, the city manager and district council member will be in attendance to answer any questions about the budget.
And hey, you might want to watch out for this one, folks. A closure set to start out on the south side of Corpus Christi that may affect you. Mount Vernon Street over at the intersection of Everhart Road is scheduled to begin stormwater improvements. During this construction, Mount Vernon Street will be closed from Everhart Road to Winona Drive. The closure will allow crews to install a new 30-inch stormwater line beneath the intersection. This closure is expected to last about 2 days.
The Islander Pavilion at McCon Park will be closed for lighting improvements starting today. This closure will run through Wednesday from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. And during the closure, the pavilion will be open to the public from 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. Some of the improvements include swapping existing pavilion lighting to more energy-efficient LED fixtures.
All right, now taking a live look outside from our sky cam over top SPID, because those roadways are beginning to get a little bit more busy as folks start their morning here on our Monday. Now those skies are looking to be a bit cloudy, a couple passing clouds with that sunrise beginning right now at this hour, but sunshine will really start to pack a punch later on this afternoon, leading towards our temperatures increasing towards those upper 90s. But let's go ahead and get into our traffic flow map, see what you can expect heading out the door for your drive, getting you started on your morning commute. Heading on the JFK Causeway, going to from the island, looking at pretty easy driving conditions. As you can see, those notes of green, letting you know that traffic flow is moving well. Same thing throughout most of our roadways here on Flower Bluff, maybe minus Waldron Road, where you see a bit of a mixture of medium slow speeds happening in both directions there. Moving on over towards, of course, near downtown, you got Ocean Drive, SPID, and on Saratoga. All three of those roadways are moving well for you right now this morning. But again, you're seeing all those shades of green, letting you know that you don't have to be really concerned about any traffic flow or traffic hiccups to cause any issues for your morning commute on this Monday. More details coming up in your forecast in the next few minutes.
Well, as red-blooded Americans, we love our beer, right? But you may have noticed it's costing a lot more lately. Scripps News Group's consumer reporter John Matarese finds ways to enjoy your favorite brews without going broke.
Americans love their beer, but you may have noticed it's getting a bit more expensive to crack open a cold one. So we found some ways where you can still enjoy your favorite lager or ale and save money on your next pint.
So this is our brew house. So this is where we actually make beer.
Brian Jackson is the founder of Esoteric Brewing, one of thousands of craft breweries struggling with rising costs.
It started probably in 2022, I believe, is when the inflation period really started to rise, and nothing's really kind of backed off.
He says everything from his electric and water rates to ingredients are up sharply. How can you keep your beer budget in check? He says think light.
I would say a light lager. We tend to find that that's the easiest and cheaper beer that we can make.
Among regular strength beers, he says ales are cheaper. Lagers cost more because they take longer to make. And IPAs cost the most because they require more hops.
They want more flavor or more hops, in their beer, then, we got to push that envelope, but then that increases the cost.
Bart Watson of the Brewers Association says increased tariffs on aluminum are also hitting breweries hard. And it's a matter of time before you're seeing increased prices on store shelves.
Some brewers may choose just to eat the increase in cost and see their margins get reduced. But I think we will see it show up in consumer pricing.
Watson says prices are rising for imported raw materials too.
New Zealand hops, German hops, or German malt for brewers that are making specialty products.
He also believes it's about what consumers will pay for.
Now's the time where you get to vote with your wallet. That's going to drive brewer choices.
So if your favorite brewer has to raise prices a bit, cut them some slack.
We do have to figure out a way to cover some of those costs so that we can be a sustainable business.
And raise a glass so you don't waste your money. John Matarese, Scripps News Group.
As you all know, Chris 6 News has teamed up with the Gulf Coast Humane Society for the Clear the Shelter initiative. All this week will feature some of the pets that you can bring home. Today's furry friend is Augie, and Augie is a 2-year-old male shepherd mix who loves making new friends, going for walks, playing with toys, and of course, cuddling. His adoption fee is waived, so if you want to give Augie a forever home, head on over to the Gulf Coast Humane Society today at 3118 Cabinets Parkway.
And over the weekend, Hurricane Erin strengthened to a Category 5 hurricane before eventually being downgraded to a Category 3 as it underwent an eye wall replacement cycle. But while it was a 5, hurricane hunters were able to get a view of what the eye of the hurricane looks like. Take a look at this. So the hurricane hunters who captured this video are part of the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron. In just 24 hours, Erin went from a Category 1 with 75-mile-per-hour winds to a Category 5 with 160-mile-per-hour winds. That is just a tremendous sight right there, too. Imagine being part of those hurricane hunters flying into the 160.
Ryan says that because he would totally do that.
I would so do that in a heartbeat. That is amazing. Would you do that as a
She's
Met?
saying no.
No?
No. I think it's amazing. It's impressive. I love to look at these type of images and these videos, but to be in it, that would just.
So you'd rather report on the weather rather than be in the weather.
In the studio, yes.
Oh, so you don't want to be one of those live meteorologists out there in the eye of the storm, huh?
Like, what's his name? Jim Cantori?
Yeah,
on the Weather Channel? No. He's got that on wrap.
I feel like we're such field reporters at heart because we like to be in the middle of action unless it involves snow or cold.
I mean, I won't mind being like out in the field, like in more tame weather conditions, not that extreme to that extent. It's a little too far for me. I will just feel very anxious.
Well, I did super quick because I know we're limited on time, but back in Reno, we would cover wildfires all the time, and wildfires that got so big they created their own weather systems there, that's the closest I've really gotten to extreme stuff.
Oh yeah,
but no extreme weather right now.
No, not right now. No, we're just hot. We're just our usual here in the coastal bend. Still type of conditions that we saw yesterday on our Sunday, reaching to those upper 90s. Can expect that again for us today with more heat and more sunshine. Also, we'll see some spicy feel-like temperatures reaching nearby 110 degrees across most of our neighborhoods here in the coastal bend as well. We'll see light wind speeds coming in from the southeast, upwards of 5, maybe closer to 15 miles an hour over the course of our afternoon. So lighter wind speeds that will gradually increase to a bit of more of a considerable breeze as we head towards this afternoon. Let's go ahead and see what that means for our dog walking forecast. Introducing our star for today first, we got Lego here. Lego will want to get that morning walk earlier rather than later, of course, because the heat's going to start to ramp up, making it uncomfortable for those little paws walking on that hot pavement by this afternoon. So looking at throughout the morning hours, things will be pretty comfortable over the next 3 or so hours. We'll see around 8 o'clock in the morning, reaching nearby 81 degrees. Still in those low to mid 80s around 9 o'clock, only approaching those upper 80s to low 90s by the time we're reaching towards around midday. And by this afternoon, we'll be well into those lower 90s, reaching those mid 90s. And eventually, we'll see that afternoon high temperature of 99 degrees here in Corpus Christi. So I'm forecasting that same high temperature that we saw ourselves to have yesterday on our Sunday. So we'll be looking at, again, those very similar same conditions that we had over this past weekend. Over towards our heat risk, still looking at a mixture of that moderate to major heat risk in the forecast for us today. That major zone kind of increasing a little bit for some inland neighborhoods ahead for us tomorrow, but we got a little bit of improvement on the way by the time we reach our Wednesday. That's going to be tied towards our slightly wetter weather pattern that we're expecting towards the end of our work week, or that could begin as early as tomorrow with a couple passing showers coming in thanks to that upper level disturbance that's going to come on into the area. So hopefully rain chances will start to improve and look a bit better beginning tomorrow, and then certainly toward the second half of our work week, really leading towards your Friday to your weekend. Got even more promising rain chances on the way with some thunderstorm activity, hopefully. I know, of course, last week we had a bit of a disappointment with our rain action with those tropical downpours, so hopefully I can redeem it for you guys with some rain chances coming in. That looks pretty beneficial towards this week.
Yay, looks good. Well, thank you so much, Julia. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.